former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is leading government officials who served under former President Muhammadu Buhari between 2015 and 2023 for the unveiling of a book by a former presidential spokesperson, Mr. Garba Shehu. The memoir chronicles the experiences, stories, and facts revolving around the 8 years of the Buhari administration.
As journalists, we get into a lot of trouble, not because it's our own issue, but because we speak for some others.
The issues raised in the book are touched on during the goodwill messages.
Please, let's write on about a man who is iconic, about a man who is legendary, and about a man whose image looms large.
His depiction of President Muhammadu Buhari and his tenure comes from a different perspective, and I must say it sheds a completely different light on the way that he related to President Muhammadu Buhari.
At this juncture, on a personal note, I must commend General Buhari publicly for his disposition during his tenure.
In the keynote address, a former secretary to the government of the Federation commends the former president for laying the foundation of reforms for President Bola Tinubu. He makes clarifications on the roles played by Mr. Buhari in the emergence of his predecessor.
When you sum up the total votes that gave us the presidency in 2015, the aggregate of the total votes were 15.4 million votes. So basically, what we brought to the table, the other parties that were in the merger, in addition to Buhari's 12.2 million votes, were 3.2 million votes.
Beyond the unveiling of the book, former Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, who served as the chief of staff to the former president, called for a rethink of the selection of who emerges presidents and governors across the 36 states of the Federation.
The process of selecting the president, I'm using this podium and this book to win. We must look into political parties in Nigeria, how presidential candidates, gubernatorial candidates are selected, by whom, and in what process.
Speaking on behalf of President Tinubu, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, assures Nigerians of better days ahead.
Nation building is a relay. The efforts of one administration lay the foundation for the next. In this regard, I acknowledge the efforts of my predecessor, President Buhari, and assure all Nigerians that the reform-oriented path he initiated will be considered consolidated and strengthened under this administration.
The book, titled According to the President, Lessons from a Presidential Spokesman's Experience, is aimed at documenting the activities of the author for future generations.